Sure, I could tell you what the scariest thing about Gen 4 remakes are, but you know what isn't the scariest thing? Shanks. Look at him. I love him. Alright, let's get sad again.
Everybody like, hey, are you ready to go? Ready to go. Everybody like, hey.
Alright, what is going on, y'all? Soul here and welcome back to my story mode. First off, I want to say thank you yet again for so much support on these last couple videos. I really truly do appreciate it. To show my appreciation, I want to do some big fun things with you guys, but I gotta make sure that people are around to actually want those things to happen. So if you guys could do me the absolute greatest favor of hitting the subscribe button so that I know you guys want to be here for the bigger things, okay? I really want to reach 3,000 when I can. I would really appreciate you guys if you could do that for me. Also, I want to get a little bit of help from you guys specifically for the next video. In the comment section below, I'm going to pin a question for you guys to answer. Once you guys answer those questions in the next video, I can address them right here. We all have vastly different opinions about Pokemon, and I know we all want to talk about them considering we've been arguing about it in the comment section for the last couple days. So I want to hear all of them, and I want to talk about them little by little as we go until the inevitable release of the next games. Whenever that may be. Whatever the case may be, I think it's about time we start actually talking about what you came to this video for. Why Gen 4 remakes are so scary, but so important. If you've subscribed recently, I'm sure that means it's because you're a part of the Pokemon drought that's happening right now. This is the longest time in a long time that we've had to wait for new mainline games. And when I say drought, I mean that dramatically. I know for a fact that Pokemon Snap is coming out in a few months. I'm paying attention, Pokemon is still around, I just mean for the mainline games. Let's take it easy. Anyway, usually by this point, maybe next month or so, we would have new games announced, and as it stands, because of leaks, we seem fairly certain that the next games are more than likely to be the Gen 4 remakes before next generation comes. However, I've gotta say, this is easily the most I've seen the Pokemon fanbase divided. A lot more people seem to be way more scared of the new games than excited, which is kind of alarming for such a big series. I wanted to make this video because really what it comes down to is what Game Freak does with these next games are going to lay it all out on the line for the longtime fans. Not necessarily for the new ones, but for us. First, let's go ahead and get into what we're so dramatically terrified of. Let's start with the fact that we feel that we may never get true challenge ever again in Pokemon mainline games. Ridiculous, I know, but think about it this way. This idea stems from a couple of things, starting with the fact that they completely removed the option to turn off the experience share. Back when it was just an item, you got to choose one Pokemon that obtained the experience from the Pokemon that's up in front of your party. Now, everybody gets that, and they don't have a choice but to eat that up. Now, don't get me wrong, I can't sit here and acknowledge the fact that it is a teeny bit more convenient. However, that does take away a lot of the work. The satisfaction of leveling up your Pokemon at the front of the party and then evolving them, getting to see that work that you put in just happen, I gotta say, man, that's kind of a great feeling. Kinda hard to have that feeling when you completely forget who's in your party and they just keep getting experience and then they evolve out of nowhere because you weren't paying attention. On its own, that's already kind of a mid thing. But the fact that they added onto that by practically making the necessity of grinding non-existent by adding level up candies or experience candies from raid battles, y'all did the work for me. For after game, I will say that it's very convenient, but during the regular game, I shouldn't have the option to make any of my Pokemon level 70 right off the frickin' bat. That is insane. Rare candies was implemented with the title rare in it for a reason. I don't know if y'all forgot that, but I certainly didn't. Moving away from the experience share, because God knows that we can argue about that and complain about it for years on end, you have to admit that the story a majority of the time sends you on such a direct path with no backtracking that you literally have no problem just traversing, just going straight forward. When you look back at some of the previous games, you could at least tell that there were some alternate paths and things to explore that would kind of throw you off your main game, but in the end, you'd end up going back to the right path, but it'd take you a while because there was always so much on a route for you to look for. Not that there was a crazy ton of puzzles or anything like that, but don't sit there and tell me your ass didn't get lost at least 4 times in Mount Coronet. In this previous game, there was no real puzzling or backtracking to be done, so honest to God, you could literally just skip all of the dialogue and probably still know exactly where to go. You just kind of battle trainers and move forward. There is literally no thinking to be involved, at all. If I'm remembering correctly, if you follow the story directly, there's a path that takes you right back to the first city so that you can continue the story right from there and then continue right on. If that's not straightforward, I don't know what the freaking definition of the word is, because good God almighty. Oh boy. Aside from all that, let's go ahead and talk about TMs and HMs for a second. It's been a long time, so I'm sure a lot of us grew too used to it, but I think a lot of y'all forgot that TMs didn't used to be permanent. There was actually a time where we actually had to calculate whether it was worth it or not to just give it to our Chingling or wait till our inevitable Gengar down the road. You can make a choice that you can actually regret, because guess what? You might get a Pokemon that's way better suited to Shadow Ball, like Kadabra or something, and didn't even necessarily need to be a Gengar for Christ's sake. Maybe a Kadabra or a Gardevoir or something more suited than a Chingling, but you decided to rush in and give it to that Chingling because you need to get past that gym. You made that mistake, but guess what? You no longer have to stress about it ever again. You could just eventually give it to somebody that could utilize the move better and delete it off that other Pokemon. Or if you really want, just keep it on all of them, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You can use that move as much as you want now. Now, throughout this video, you're probably going to agree that there's definitely a lot of these, but this is yet another situation where, yes, this is definitely a solid quality of life update to the overall Pokemon games, but at the same time, it takes away all the stress, all the worry, just anything that makes you think, alright? It just takes it away and you're like, oh, okay, oh, cool, I got this Pokemon now, so you can take it off him, I guess. You're not thinking about it anymore. You're not worried. This might sound a little crazy, but sometimes I like to worry in games. That's how you know I'm invested. That's how you know I want to think about it and be proud of myself or regret myself later when I take on that gym and I lose. That's when I know now, damn it, I should have saved that TM for somebody else. This situation can also apply to HMs, but kind of in the opposite way. Since HMs were permanent moves and could last forever, we really had to calculate who would best utilize that move in battle and outside of battle. Basically, the removal of HMs means that we really no longer need to look for anything ourselves, because usually when the situation arises, the item or whatever we need to get past that situation is usually handed to us right then and there. And most of the time, the obstacles that we used to have that utilize things like strength, rock climb, flash, all of that, those obstacles are completely gone, because without HMs, what do we even need that kind of thing for? You know, we don't even need the obstacles anymore. At least that's how I imagine Game Freak imagines it. Basically, if I were to put my thought process on a straight path right now, it would be no HMs means no need for obstacles. No obstacles means no real need to stray off the main path. No real need to stray off the main path means a straightforward, straight shot to your goal, with virtually nothing in your way besides some Pokemon trainers and maybe a body of water. I don't know, I just feel like things are handed to us, and when things are handed to you, it's a little too easy. When you can't figure it out for yourself, maybe you have to look up a guide or something like that, but 9 times out of 10, if you were to figure it out yourself, you feel so much joy, you feel so overjoyed and so pleased with yourself that you were able to figure it out because you got through that challenge, and nobody can tell you that you didn't earn that satisfaction. And I gotta tell you, I don't think I've felt true satisfaction like that since about 5th gen. But that's probably just my personal opinion, since I'm not gonna lie to you, 6th gen is very forgettable. It's super forgettable to me. You can hate me for that one, but that's just me. Anyway, aside from just gameplay stuff, there's a lot of story related stuff that we're super worried about too. For example, the fact that the story will probably continue to suffer because of simplicity and gimmicks. If you can look me dead in the eye with a straight face and tell me that 8th gen had an actual story, I'm gonna applaud you, because you are the greatest liar on earth. Think about it this way, at the beginning of Sword and Shield, they tell you the story of some hero who used the sword and the shield to fend off this dangerous alien or dangerous Pokemon or whatever the hell that was pretty much threatening Earth. Come to find out during your 7th or 8th gym badge that story was just completely wrong. Everybody just had it wrong for some reason, and the true heroes were Zacian and Zamazenta. Duh, they just had to rest up in the slumbering weald. That's it. Also, by the way, Chairman Rose only caused problems because of a possible problem that would happen thousands of years after their lifetime. Does that make any sense to you? Essentially, this dude was just around to cause problems, literally for no reason. He's not even an asshole. He just wanted to take care of business way too early, way earlier than necessary. What is that? Anyway, I gotta remember that we're not here to shit on the 8th gen story. We just gotta keep in mind that this is actually something that has been around for quite some time now. Usually, the story of the game doesn't truly pop up until the very end, but at the very least, the story is usually, or at least it used to be usually, scattered around in the midst of the game, not just shoved into the end. Setting it up like that kind of just leaves a fat gap in the middle of very forgettable moments in the story because there essentially is no story in the middle. Usually, we'll have a situation where the team in question is causing problems around town or whatever the hell they're doing in the region, but as of late, teams are usually just kind of a waste of space now. Now, I could say that the problem started in 6th gen, but really that was just mostly the story problem. Team Flare was there, they just didn't really do too much. In 7th gen though, Team Skull was a joke. They were just made to look like the forefront bad guys so that the Aether Foundation could get away with whatever the hell they wanted that they were doing in the background. I could go on and on all day about Team Skull, but you know what? I will still give them this. At least they still kind of did something. Team Yell? What was that, bro? What was that? They advertised that like that was an actual team that was ready to do some damage. But no, that was not the case at all. It was just a bunch of freaking fanboys. I hate that. Team Yell is the worst team that we've ever gotten, and you cannot argue that. Anyway, in a way, I'm trying to say that instead of utilizing the team as the bad guys and using them as the problem, like their goal is the actual issue, it seems they've started to stray more towards making the problem the gimmick. Now, 7th gen is a little weird because I don't think I can necessarily call Ultra Beasts a gimmick. Those are just other dimensional Pokemon that they wanted to capture and obtain or do whatever the hell with, but whatever, that's 7th gen's thing. My problem kind of lies with Oraz, 3rd gen remakes. You can say what you want, but when you truly think about it, Primal Kyogre and Primal Groudon, that's just Mega Evolution. It's like backwards Mega Evolution or something like that. My point is, the existence of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire just goes to show that the plot can very much change to accommodate for whatever the new gimmick is. In this case, it still can very much be Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing. Even if there's a perfectly fine plot already in place, it can absolutely get washed. We can deny it until our little lungs give out, but at the end of the day, Game Freak can do whatever they want, okay? They can retcon it if they so desire to. All we can do is just hope that they realize the mistake they're making if they decide to pull that. Moving on to the next set of fears here, it's simply the fact that they'll probably continue to cater mostly to new fans as opposed to everybody else. While Pokemon is accessible and playable for everybody, you have to look at the last couple of games and truly realize that a lot of those games sacrificed and accommodated for new players. For example, instead of handing us a mainline game that we're actually familiar with, we got another Gen 1 remake with mechanics that are familiar to the Pokemon Go fanbase that's much more simplified. For those of you that forgot or straight up skipped it, we have to keep in mind that there were no held items, there were no abilities, there was only 151 Pokemon, and there were no random encounter battles. Now, being older, I completely understood the fact that these games were meant to accommodate for the new fanbase that they developed through Pokemon Go. That was a huge blow up. They probably didn't even expect it to turn out that big, but there they were with a fat fanbase of new Pokemon fans that weren't in tune with the mainline series. So what did they do? They made a console game that accommodated to their needs or to things that they were used to so that they didn't feel too out of place when they picked up the game for the first time. Or a game that was at least more closely, mildly in tune with the original mainline series. I totally get that. They're slowly easing them in. From a business standpoint, understandable. Clearly there was a reason as to why they weren't picking up the mainline games all this time, whether they're kids or just the older generation that just didn't feel like the regular main games were their thing. So naturally, they just want to kind of ease them into it, kind of butter them on. Okay? That makes total sense. However, you can kind of recognize who's more in favor when we move from Let's Go to Sword and Shield with the mechanic of overworld Mons. Now this is something that we've been asking for a very long time. We kind of got it in 2nd gen and we kind of got it in 2nd gen remakes, but since then, rarely did we even get to have a Pokemon following us in the overworld. But hey, guess what? Pokemon Go players are used to having Pokemon show up in the overworld at random, so that's what they need to see. They have to see that Pokemon are showing up in the overworld just like their little app, so they can catch the Pokemon that they want at their discretion. That is the one mechanic we truly did not expect to come over to Sword and Shield, but here we are. And the craziest part about it is the fact that that's not even all of it. Y'all do remember the fact that raid battling is 100% a Pokemon Go thing. I'm sure we didn't forget because Pokemon Go is somehow, even in the midst of a pandemic, still very much active. So I know we didn't forget, but it's here in the mainline games now. And you know what, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I'm pretty sure that Dynamaxing was more of just an excuse to introduce raid battles in the game. Alright, they come up with that on the spot. They said, how are we gonna make an excuse for these big ass raid battles for multiple people to battle against? They're like, oh wait a minute, why don't we have the trainers be able to do that themselves? Dynamaxing, boom. That's a whole thing right there. There you go. For the record, I don't actually think that's how it went down. I'm just messing around, but for the most part, that is generally how I feel towards raid battles. I don't really think that's really for us. I mean, it is partially for us to have something unique and new, but mostly to familiarize the Pokemon Go players with something in a mainline game. Go ahead and call me out if I'm wrong. That's just my opinion though. Moving along here, and this is probably the scariest thing, is the fact that they'll probably continue to get lazier with certain things in new games because they know for a fact that it's gonna make money regardless. Because it's Pokemon. I fully believe that there was a point in time where they're just like, we don't need to try that damn hard, do we? And I think that switch was truly flipped after the release of Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. They said, let's do a test real quick. Let's make a practically carbon copy of the original game, add very minor changes to the elements within the story, and see how this does. And because they advertised it like there was some new stuff happening in the main game, we thought we were getting something new. But when you truly look at Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon for what it was, we got a carbon direct copy of Sun and Moon with some nonsense of a story hammered in there. When you go back to Black 2, White 2, at least those games were completely different. They took place in the same region, but years later with a different story. When you look back at 6th gen, hey, you know what? I'll give X and Y props where props is due. It was a new region and a new story, and at the very least, they made Gen 3 remakes with a little bit of love and effort. Okay, just a little bit. But I'm sorry, man. You can't tell me that Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon are completely different games from their counterparts. Had Sun and Moon even been a smidge cheaper, I would have told you to just get those, because really? That's like some shady dude selling you two different types of AirPods, right? You see the cases there? But one of them has glitter on it. The other one's a bit cheaper. Come on, be smart about this, buddy. Gen 2 AirPods or Gen 2 AirPods with glitter? Think about it. Now, I know we already talked about the simplicities of Let's Go, but you actually do have to look at that. That was a very, very bare bones simple Pokemon game. Simple enough that you guys even said it yourselves that it doesn't even fit into a generation because it doesn't have any gimmicks and it has literally only the 151 Pokemon. So we literally don't even know where to put that. Fact of the matter is, we can argue day and night if that's a mainline Pokemon game. It doesn't matter. That was the game that was sold as the Pokemon game for 2018. That's what we had. Okay? That was our game for that year. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And guess what? Sold great. Ay, Dios mío. Aside from that though, I feel like I don't even need to bring this up again. But how Trent, or whatever the name of the rival was in Pokemon Let's Go, and Hop, they're the same person. They are the same person. The only one that stands out really is Hop. Okay, he wants to be a professor or scientist now instead of prioritizing being a trainer. Okay, I'm not even going to talk about this anymore because I don't really need to explain much there. I'm leaving that alone. Moving on. This is another one that's been beaten to death in this community for the last year, but it's just as important to state. The fact that y'all cut the decks with the excuse that you're gonna improve animations But not only did you cut the decks and not do that, we only got a chunk of the decks through DLC. Now, I could go on about that, but we already have. We've beaten that topic to death, but we know that's the fact. We know that's the truth. But speaking of DLC, when you really think about it, the Pokemon only follow us in the overworld of the DLC. Another thing that we've been asking for a very long time, and yet that still even operates terribly. How? Now, my point in bringing this up is the fact that it's mainly a problem of the existence of DLC. Having DLC as a possibility leaves them to be as bare bones as they need to be for the base game that we're paying full price for, because eventually they could just add in whatever else they want for as much as they want. This pretty much just leads into my next point, which is pretty much my final point. The remakes are so crucial and so important because it's really going to showcase how they operate moving forward. As a game, as a company, they know for a fact that most of the time, no matter what they do, as long as they put in the bare minimum of effort, a Pokemon related game will sell. That's just fact of the matter. And while it may not seem like it, they can hear us and they can see us. They're on Twitter and on social media just as much as any of us are on a regular basis, okay? There's almost no way to avoid us, especially when we're talking about their product. That's what they want to hear about. But it's crazy. We can yell and scream and kick and cry as much as we want, but they're not hearing us. They're hearing our wallets, y'all. At the end of the day, though, we all want to play Pokemon. So while a couple of us can skip the next game, it's still going to end up selling just as well as any other mainline Nintendo series, especially Pokemon. Really, it's less of a, hey, I don't really care for this product anymore and I don't think I want to use it anymore. And they'd be like, oh, I'm sorry, what can we do to fix your problem so that you can continue to enjoy our product? And it's more along the lines of, hey, I don't think this product is really for me anymore. I'm sorry, but I think I'm gonna get rid of it. And they're like, oh, well, you know, that really sucks. You know, I guess, you know, we hope you enjoyed your time here, but, you know, we've got plenty of other people that would play it instead of you. So, you know, good luck finding anything that will give you remotely the feeling that our product gave you. Good luck or whatever. I don't care. You know, as tough as that is to swallow, that's kind of what it looks like, y'all. Again, it is kind of harsh, I know, I'm sorry, but you got to look at it from a business standpoint. The wallet talks, not the person. And so that is why Gen 4 remakes are so crucial. Whether we get a solid remake with solid graphics, fun enhanced mechanics from the original game, or a super shallow remake with limited options, a dumbed down challenge, and a completely miffed version of the story to accommodate for Dynamaxing and Gigantamaxing is really gonna show everything. That's what it comes down to. If we do get Gen 4 remakes, whatever happens in that game is really gonna showcase if they have our best interests at heart. That's just that. Whew! Well, I've definitely talked your guys' ear off for the last just about half hour. How you guys feeling? Y'all angry? I'm certainly a little miffed, I can't lie to you. Thinking about all the other stuff that they've done in the past can really just irk you sometimes, can it? Am I wrong? Tell me you're not a little irked. Drink some water, buddy, you'll be alright. Don't worry, we're in this together, okay? Just remember that. We're all in the same boat here. Whatever we get is what we get, and, you know, we say we gotta let our wallets do the talking, but eventually somebody else's wallet is gonna talk a lot louder. So, really, it's just either staying on the train or hopping off. It's gonna keep going, with or without us. So, we'll see how it happens. But, yeah, me personally, I think this video did a lot better of a job explaining why I'm scared than the video that popped off. I can't lie to y'all. Alright, this video really showcases everything that's so terrifying about Gen 4 remakes. This pretty much breaks it down to the T. Okay, this is everything right here. And really, I say that it's gonna be the game that makes or breaks a lot of people, but really it depends on the kind of person that you are. For me, Pokemon is too important to me. I've grown up with this series and it's way too important and I love it way too much. I know it's sullied right now. I know it's in a very, very mucky place right now, especially with how the company's run and everything like that. So it's kind of hard to say. I'm talking about Nintendo, not Game Freak. I don't really know too much about how Game Freak operates. If y'all know that, let me know. I'm very curious. But based on how things are going, it's in a very odd spot right now. But at the end of the day, I love Pokemon too much to drop it. However, that may not be the case for everybody. There are people that aren't as attached to the series as me that can easily drop it and just walk away from it because that's not their thing anymore. If Pokemon is just not good to them anymore and they really feel like they've been done dirty with their money and they really can't stand how Game Freak operates and gives us these games anymore, they are more than free to walk away, and they are completely justified in that option. I totally don't blame them for it. But me personally, I don't see how I could just simply up and walk away from a series that I've just loved with all my heart since I was a kid. Alright? Even if I don't buy the next game, which is super unlikely, I will definitely be watching very closely. Alright? Not even from afar. I'm gonna be right up on you, bro. I'm gonna be hovering right over your shoulder, watching you on your Switch. Catch Primal Dialga and Palkia, or whatever the hell, Gigantamax Dialga and Palkia, whatever they end up doing. Okay, that's just the gist of it. You know, Paper Mario was a very similar situation for me. If you've seen on my channel, I've done stuff regarding Paper Mario the Origami King, but in my gameplay, or I'm sorry, in my review, I said that Paper Mario Origami King really put the nail in the coffin for me because I don't think I'm going to care for that series going forward, so I don't see myself picking up the next game because that just showcases where the developers' mindsets are at, or at least where the heads of the developers are at. If that's how they want to keep doing things, that's not a series that I'm interested in anymore, okay? At least with Pokemon, we can see mild improvement. You cannot sit there and tell me that at the very least, there are some improvements between Let's Go and Sword and Shield. At the very least, okay? While there are some forced mechanics and things that just simply don't work here and there, and some very lazy detail, at the end of the day, it's definitely improvement from Let's Go, Pikachu and Eevee. That's just how I feel. But anyway, I think y'all know what time it is. It's time for you guys to tell me how you felt about this video, how you guys feel regarding Gen 4 remakes, or about the company in general, regarding Game Freak, everything. I want you guys to tell me, was I on the money? Was I completely off? Am I dumb? Am I stupid? Am I wrong? Don't call me stupid. My feelings are gonna get hurt. Don't do that. I'm very sensitive. Don't believe me. Go ahead, say whatever you want. I'm here for it, alright? I could take a rock or two, alright? But tell me what you guys think. I want to hear all of it in the comment section below because I am down there. And again, like I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to need your guys' help with the next couple videos. I want to hear your guys' opinions on certain things. So I'm going to ask you a question down there, and I want to hear what you guys think about it, okay? And we will probably end up talking about it in the next video. But with that, I think I'm gonna go ahead and skedaddle on out of here. So I want to thank you guys ever so much for watching. I truly do hope you enjoyed. Do me the absolute greatest favor of dropping a like and a comment, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Do me the absolute greatest favor of taking good ass care, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.